What's up guys, FallinWinter here, and I'm here to show off another deck. I was planning on getting rid of this thing as soon as I entered it one more time, just to have one last go at it, just because I enjoy the deck, but there's other things I wanted to build, and admittedly it feels a little cheap to play this deck sometimes, especially when they're not playing the mirror match against it. So of course this is the Transcendence deck. The Nouvelle Vague, and so pretty much it's a basic build besides throwing in parts of the Steel Dragon engine to add those targets for the corduroys, since I do run a Cruel Dragon Superior Ride build. So starting Vanguard is Conroe until he eventually gets banned. But I also have a Terracloth in the deck as well, since in this deck he's an extra corduroy or an extra 10k shield, or for whatever reason if you think you want to hit the corduroy immediately because you know they're going to do something, you can start with him instead of the Conroe. He's just a nice card to tech in there. On top of that, I've got the 4 heals, the 2 art peak, the draw triggers, 4 of these criticals, and those are all your Steel Dragon trigger targets, and then just 6 other critical triggers. I like the 10 crit build just because you want to push them as early as possible with your criticals, so that late game they can't really do too much against you, since they're forced to guard so heavily later game when you have the Nouvelle ridden, because then they have no guard, or half of their guard, like the zeros, becomes dead to them. Grade 1 lineup is 4 Rhino Cross, more Steel Dragon targets for the corduroy. 3 Dragonite Ashgars. These things are great. They're 10k boosters that are 7ks, so as soon as you search them out with Conroe or something, they're already making numbers with any other, for the most part, grade 2s or grade 3s, and even a rearguard space, they work well because they're 7ks already, so you can hit the 16s that you want to. And on top of this, they don't just boost Dragonic Nouvelle Vague on Vanguard, they do not specify that, so you can punch for 22 rearguard columns with these things behind the Nouvelle Vague. And so it still hits a really high number, and they're forced to guard a lot more if you have to have that combo set up, or the column. And we've got the Nouvelle Roman Dragons. These are the ones where you can reveal and place the Transcendence Dragon on top of deck, search out a grade 3 and shuffle. It's kind of like Gancelot's, or old Gancelot's effect to search out Blaster Blade. It's pretty much the card that keeps you from being grade locked, which along with Conroe makes it really hard to get grade locked, even though people seem to be well, I just went to a local tournament and I kept seeing people getting grade locked left and right with this deck, which is really odd. And another card that helps with that sometimes, the Steel Dragon Kersey. Not only is it a Steel Dragon target, but if they have grade 2 on their field, either Vanguard or Rearguard, you can discard a card to draw one when you call him, which is basically the Airmo type effect. This thing is great if you're actually grade locked, because then you can start digging through your cards some. Or if you don't need a card like a grade 3, you can try pitching it that when you don't need it to search out a better shield or something. Next is the grade 2 lineup. So we've got a lot of 2-ofs in here. 2 Belcosity, just in case you can force out sometimes a guard from them just because they don't want you on foot damage, or if you use too many corduroys, it gives you the extra one to activate the Persona Blast Nouvelle Roman effect, or Nouvelle Transcendence Dragon effect that nukes the field. 2 10k vanilla Steel Dragons. They're Steel Dragons, and they're 10ks, which when you ride them stops a lot of the early game attacks, or allows you to guard like maybe 10ks to 1 to pass them, or no pass them and stuff early on. Then 2 of the Prowling Dragon Stricken. I honestly was kind of weird about rerunning these because I had them originally and then took them out. But with only 2 of them, it kind of gives you a higher chance of you not being forced into it and only choosing to do so. It's kind of like a miniature break ride. When it's ridden over, you get plus 5,000 and an extra critical for no cost. The only thing is that it is a restrained unit, so on Vanguard it cannot attack. Yeah, on Rearguard it's a generic 10k, but other than that, on the turn that you ride this, you will not be able to drive check and plus a card, since you can't attack with it. But it's important in the plays with a Cruel Dragon because you're able to Superior Ride over it and immediately get the plus from Superior Riding and from the critical that it gains, and you don't get the minus of having to lose a turn. Also, when it is attacked, when your opponent does not have a booster, while this is on Vanguard, it becomes a 15 instead. So sometimes your opponent may not know that and misplay, where they will attack into it without a booster and you can pretty much no guard because they can't hit you. It's pretty nice when it does happen, although it's not that often. And lastly, you have the 4 corduroys, more Steel Dragon targets, and the main unit of the deck that just eats things. When he's called, you counterboss 1 Steel Dragon, you choose any of their rear guards and search the top, and they may search the top 4 for a grade 2 rear guard and call it back to field, anywhere. It's just a nice card in general. It's only 1 counterboss to retire something. They don't always call something, and when they do, chances are they're not really going to be able to do much with it. And even then, you're digging through their grade 2s so that they run out faster if they haven't already. Just be careful with some decks. Lapierre Shooters, Blaster Blade Liberators, any of those on-call effects do activate when they get called, as long as the requirements are met or are specified. So they can technically plus off of it, but that's kind of rare, so it's not too bad, and it doesn't really hurt you that much. For the grade 3 lineups, we've got 1 Dauntless right now. I was probably going to run 2 Dauntless, 2 Cruel Dragon, but as it is, I only have 1 at the moment. I need to get the last one. This card is just great for the Nouvelle play where you break right over it and you swing twice with this 33 Vanguard, which you cannot guard with 0. So it's pretty much perfect guard or bust, usually. And is largely the game ender for a lot of moments. It just punches people in the face really, really hard. It's just something that's important, or at least crucial to making the deck have that sort of end game and make it even more so. Then the 3 Cruel Dragons. This unit is interesting and is largely just there for the Superior Ride, since on attack, or during your main phase, when you are grade 2 or higher, you may reveal this card and rest your Vanguard, and if you retired something during that main phase, you can ride the Cruel Dragon, and your Vanguard loses 3,000 attack. So it'll be an AK attacker, unless you use the Nouvelle, or use the Stricken combo where it gets plus 5 and then loses 3,000, so it's a 13 by itself. And it gets an extra critical because of the Stricken. Just keep in mind that the wording is really weird on the card, but you have to retire a unit before activating his effect or it does not activate. Some people already kind of knew how this effect worked. For a few of us, we got really confused because the wording was really off or odd. So the actual play would be to call something and retire, and then retire the unit and then activate his effect. And of course the last card is the Transcendence. It's a 13k body. You counterblast 3 Soul Blast 3 and discard 1 of them at limit break, and you can retire their entire field. It's a Silent Tom. When it attacks, they can't guard with 0s. This doesn't work on rear guard, but is generally an all-around game ender. Also, on your turn, your opponent's triggers do not activate, so Even if they hit a draw trigger, they can't draw and apply power. Critical triggers. Heal triggers also do not work, so even if they hit a miracle heal on the 6 damage, they cannot heal and they still lose. So usually once you hit the 6 damage, it's game and they start scooping and packing up their stuff because they can't heal. Overall, it's a powerful deck. I can't say it's like meta breaking like a lot of people are saying, but it is very stupid and annoying to deal with, although possible to be dealt with some decks. I don't know. I really did enjoy the deck, but I'd rather play, what's it called? Dauntless Dominate Reverse that's coming out, so I'm kind of going to deconstruct this and get some of my other stuff back so that I can start building that as soon as possible and be ready. So, if you guys have any questions, comments, anything else, requests for videos and all that, just let us know in the comments or on messages on our page, and let us know what you guys want to see. See you guys next video.